I had to take some notes because the lists here are long when you're associated with Nancy. Like Rita Harold, there are probably very few people in the IES and the industry who don't know about Nancy. And so in preparing for this, I started looking at her resume. So she started her company in 1981 and established a wide-ranging portfolio. She's got a prison in there, outdoor projects, master planning, offices, educational facilities, and as well as leading this highly productive design firm, she continues to give back to the industry. So she's associated with over 20 professional societies, leadership teams and think tanks. She's a well-known speaker and has spoken over 200 times in the past 10 years. The IES committees she's been involved with are TM12. These are just a few. RP33, roadway lighting, DG16. She was a reviewer of the IES Big Book, reviewer of the IES 9th edition of the handbook. She's the ACEC regional president, subcommittee chair and a board member of the IDA, been involved with the USGBC, National Science Committee member. She was involved with the greening of the White House and was the lighting group leader, and in fact spent time with Bill Clinton in his kitchen. And I understand you spent time in Hillary's closet too. Yeah. So she developed the pantsuit light. And she's according to this anyway, she's helped break into armed forces buildings as part of an anti-terrorism joint task force group. So that's her professional resume, and I decided to get a little deeper, so I contacted some of her staff. And I promised the staff member who supplied most of this information that I would not reveal who it was. But there are some unknown facts about Nancy. One of them lighting related. She installed the first compact fluorescent lamp in Colorado. Okay, sorry about that. But her nickname is Muffy. Did you know that? She says holy buckets and awesome. She comes from Minnesota, don't you know, and adores Ole and Lena jokes. Does anyone know what an Ole and Lena joke is? I had to look this up. Okay, so here's an example of a Ole and Lena joke. Ole's on his deathbed. The doctors told him he has a few hours to live. He catches scent of his favorite cookies wafting through the air. With all the strength he can muster, he drags himself to the kitchen and sees a fresh pan of cooling on the rack. He cuts one out and bites onto the sumptuous cookie. Lena comes in, smacks his hand and says, "Shame on you, Ole. Those are for after the funeral." So that's a clue to Nancy's sense of humor. She knows that one, all right. She has a big bladder. And how we know about Nancy's bladder is, this is important, when she started engineering at the University of Colorado, there was no women's bathrooms. So we have to assume you just held it all day. So that's sort of another one. Even before it was legal in Colorado, Nancy used to grow her own. Spinach, that is. Back, you remember 10, 12 years ago, there was an E. coli outbreak with spinach. Nancy eats spinach constantly. We go to a restaurant together. She's redesigning the menu to get spinach on the menu. And apparently she started growing her own spinach because she didn't trust the E. coli and other people's spinach. You have chocolate on you all the time. There you go. Apparently if Nancy says erg, this is her staff talking, she's swearing. But she does carry on and forgets whatever was bothering her. My staff probably would appreciate having a boss like that, but that's good. But then her staff got a little more meaningful, and they talked about her smile and her demeanor. And I've experienced this. Whenever you meet Nancy, there's always a smile, a hug, a hearty handshake, and it's impressive. And that's what is important, I think, in all these things. And when you ask people, in particular your staff, what the impression of Nancy's words were, their words come out like sincere, welcoming, inspiring, and those are the words that always come up about Nancy. I think about Nancy's lasting impression on the industry, and I think it's her vision. She always challenges the industry to think deeper and develop new cutting-edge designs. She was awarded a Dark Sky Defender and has been involved in a lot of IDA projects. And apparently one of her key phrases is, "Let's relight the Grand Canyon with moonlight." So she's been working on spectral tuning of outdoor environments and working with some of the observatories and looking at how to spectrally tune luminaires. And then of course, she's been heavily involved in new lighting standards, the MLO, development of the bug ratings, and working with smart cities and saying things like, intelligent things like smart cities start with smart streetlights. So I experienced this. Nancy and I have been working together since about 2007, where she got me and my center involved with the evaluation of the lighting systems in Anchorage. Now, the important thing there is since then, Nancy and I have evaluated a lot of cities. We've been around Finland and Estonia and a bunch of places talking about lighting. But the important thing about that is 2007, the date, 2007. Nancy was talking to cities about LED street lighting in 2007. I was just starting my IES presidential year that year, and I was standing at a roadway lighting committee, an IES roadway lighting committee meeting, and they were standing up saying, "I will never design a roadway lighting system with LED." So I had this volunteer presidential thing with the committee that wasn't moving forward, and I was working with Nancy on these other things where cities were being driven forward, and it was really Nancy's motivation for those things. And so, Nancy saw the future and realized that research was needed to establish those levels and got us involved, and we're really appreciative about that and got the world talking about LED roadway lighting in cities. So my belief is a Lifetime Achievement Award is justly deserved. She's a leader in our industry, has a vision for the future, and inspiration to all professionals, both those starting out and those who have been kicking around for a while. We're all inspired by Nancy. So I'm going to do a little different. I'm going to raise the toast myself. I want to raise a toast to Nancy and her Lifetime Achievement Award. So thank you.
Yeah.
Ryan, you get a hug. You're not getting away from that. Thank you.
That's good.
Wow. 2 weeks ago, Ron said, "Are you coming to Light Fair?" I went, He said, "Well, you need to come." Thank you. I mean, Randy, we were talking about the, Edison report. We think you are more red than anything else in lighting. That was some of the comments. But I'm so honored to be here and with these esteemed people and to hear about all your accomplishments, everything you've done. And I look out there and I see all my collaborators, everyone here we've worked with, we've done things with. You are the ones that I go to when I've got a crazy idea about something. I mean, Shirley, talk about, color temperature, color tuning, spectral tuning. We don't need to do this white tuning. Shirley's right there going, yeah, let's do it. Where's Jerry Mix? He's here. He was here. I'll tell you, Jerry and I are looking at occupancy sensors for elk. And you think that humans give out a lot of radiation in our heads? Elk has zero. It's all in their behind. How do we tune that? Terry McGowan, where are you? Terry, dark sky, sky glow. Every time I've got a question, you're there. You are going, well, should we do Badley's, interpretation? Should we do this? What's this whole thing? I'm just looking around. Lance Bennett and I were talking about, how do we light prisons? How do we light the wall? And to do things differently. That's what I am. But I want you all to go back to your beginnings. And why are you here? What inspired you to get here? What individual was it that got you here? To me, I look back at my education. We used the dean's secretary's restroom. Seriously, no restrooms for women in School of Engineering. This was Colorado. I mean, but I look at Ron Helms and getting us and insisting that we take theater classes and psychology of light, everything, getting out on the roadways, measuring the reflectance data, research. In fact, we could not graduate or take an exam unless we became a student member of IES. And if we couldn't afford the $15, Ron would pay it for us. You look at those beginnings in life and everything. What were your beginnings? Who was it that inspired you? How can you all inspire young scientists and engineers? There's a 30% drop in engineers going into the hard sciences. We've got a real problem. I mean, you mentioned just about, the industry we've got in talent. So I want you all to make a pledge, okay? Raise your hand. You all will sign up for a science fair, right? To go to a science fair in your district and really encourage these young students into the STEM program, but even better into STEAM, which gets the arts in there. And then the second thing, during our cocktails and all of that wonderful stuff, talk about innovations you've done, but innovations you're dreaming about. What next? Is Mark Ray still here? One thing that Mark and I did, you may never know, but you got to ask him. We were out on a ski hill in Vail at night with the Forest Service, watching these skiers, the ski patrol and the instructors go down just as fast as they could, and we kept adjusting lighting levels to see if we could light a ski hill to 2 moonlights. And Mark went, "You can do it. It's all about contrast." It's like taking crazy ideas and following through with it. But we are the ones that are there, and we have to get the next generation up and rolling. So thank you. This is such an honor. Thank you, Ron. Really appreciate it.